Welcome to Behind the Boost. Today, I am so excited to speak with Tom Shipley. Now, I met Tom at a conference that he runs, and I want to hear his story. He's got such a beautiful way of speaking to somebody, and he makes you feel like there's nobody else in the room. Along with that, I mean, the dude is connected. He speaks with anybody and everybody in the world, but he also makes sure that he maintains that relationship. So, Tom, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to speak with you today.
Well, excited to be here, and that's probably the nicest introductions anyone's ever given me. So,
well, Tom, I don't know. The first time that I met you, I've had the opportunity of going to a lot of conferences, and there's people that run conferences where they're so busy, they're not going to give you the time of day. Of course, they're busy, they're running around, but yet you've always been somebody that you can speak to. Where do you think you get that?
I think it's in my family. You get it from somewhere. I'm going to say I got that from my parents.
Yeah.
It just, as you said, when you're with someone, you stop and they are the only person in the world.
It's so
now,
true.
Again, I'm surrounded by that. My mom was incredible at it. So was my dad. My sister is she's at a new level on doing that, but that's it. It's just basically, and I love people. I appreciate people. I look at, I love to look at the depth of people. Everyone has a story. And what's a shame is we just don't know most people's stories.
It's very
We're
true.
Just very busy.
We're so busy. And I think majority of the time people are so scared about the next sale or the next thing. They forget about, the person there. And sometimes we might have differences and we only look at the differences, not finding ways for us to actually speak and have a productive conversation. I think it's also really cool to hear you speak about family. Because when I think of Tom, I think of your wife, who's amazing, and your daughter, who I've met. And I know you've got other family. How are you able to work with your family and still be productive and not want to pull each other's hair out?
I don't really work. We support each other when we need to, but we really, as of right now, don't really work with each other. So I just want to be very clear. It would be my dream to work with my daughter. Okay. And again, Ayelet worked in one of our companies. She came in, she gave up the agency that she was running in order to work in our M&A department under my partner. And then our head of M&A, our director of M&A at the time, Tony Atkins, did such an incredible job of just teaching her the world of M&A that when he moved on to buy his own agency, she stepped in and was director of M&A, and she's a beast. And then eventually she was recruited by, and that was the closest of her working with me, was basically working and running our M&A department. And then she was recruited away by our M&A attorney who does 100 transactions a year. She's the head of development for them. And head of all, manages all the deals in the transactions. So she is loving it, but eventually, don't tell Robin this, but eventually I want to steal her back and figure out a way to partner with her in a business. So
I won't tell her.
That's just between you and me. Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know what you're talking about. That's great. Now you've mentioned M&A. For those of us that don't understand what that is, what does that mean to you, and where do you feel like that needs to be said in today's world?
Okay, so for anyone who hears the name M&A and their eyes gloss over because they think about Wall Street, they think about big investment banks, they think about Goldman Sachs, throw that out the window, okay? Let me just share this with you, is that every CEO, every founder, every entrepreneur should be looking to scale using acquisitions. When I start with it is, I know I have built most of my brands and most of my businesses I built from scratch. Yeah. That said, it was acquisitions that really were the key things. But if you look at when you're running a business and you want to start a new channel, the probability of that channel will become a dominant channel for you. I don't care whether your agency clients, let's talk about agencies. If you have for example, if you have an SEO business and you want to expand into email or expand anything else, the probability of you successfully launching that and it scaling to be a meaningful piece, 30, 40, 50% of your business is probably 10%. maybe 20%. If you have a product business and you want to expand into TikTok or other channels, the probability of you succeeding is probably under 30% in having those dominant channels. Every time you launch a new product, the probability of that becoming a big success for you is probably 10%. So if you look at, we take a lot of swings in business. We do educated guesses. We put data behind it, and it's our hypothesis that we invest in. And that's what we love about being entrepreneurs. But the probability of success are low. On the other hand, you want to launch your SEO agency. You want to launch a new channel. You want to expand. Hey, if I was strong in email, I can cross sell this to all my clients. If I was offering, you name the service, Meta, TikTok, imagine that if you follow the playbook and you acquire that business, you can buy a business easily a third of your size or half of your size that specializes in that. It brings you EBITDA. It increases the enterprise value. You can cross-sell across customers, and the probability of that being successful is 80%. Dang. And again, you're flipping the book. Why is you're not getting something off the ground and saying, will this work? You're buying a business. Okay. So let me just tell, for those of you that I'm hearing is, number one is, I don't have money to go buy a business. Okay. Let me dispel that, okay? And I'm going to talk about product businesses first before I get into agency examples. Is that all right, Nic?
Absolutely. Please.
Okay. So let's just go back into 1999, Web 1.0, a really exciting period of time. I wanted to get into the business, so I opened up an online store, but I've always believed in omni-channel marketing. I remember we're talking about, at that period of time, email commerce was brand new. People were trying to figure that out. AdWords was new. Again, everything, even SEO was new at that period of time. So again, it was really an unbelievable period of time, but I believe in omni-channel marketing. So I also mailed out millions of catalogs every month. And over time, we got into 12 pages. We built up to 12 pages in the Sky Mall in-flight magazine. Really amazing business. .com bust happens. Recession hits. Conversion rates goes down. Average order goes down. We're losing money. My CFO says we probably about 30 days of cash. I know we can squeeze it to 90 days, but that's not really good. And then what are you doing? I'm saying, how can we cut? How are we going to survive this? An acquaintance of mine called me up from New York from an investment bank and said, Tom, I have the perfect acquisitions for you. And I'm thinking, I don't have any money to pay bills.
Yeah,
I don't have money to pay payroll in 30, 60, 90 days. How can I buy a business? And he said, I'm representing Boise Cascade. They have a $750 million division. He wasn't selling me the $750 million division. He said, they have a $15 million division that the company that's buying the big business does not want, and we need a home for it. He helped me structure a deal of terms that I was able to cash flow. Remember, we had no cash, able to cash flow. We got ROI in 30 days, and I exited the business, and I was gone a year later. And I went, oh my God, that was cool. But that's a one-off. And I said, that was cool. Fast forward 2 years later, I said, okay, myself and my partner in Richmond, Virginia, we're going to take our playbook on how to build iconic brands using direct response marketing to the industry that everyone said we were going to fail. When we said we're going to go into beauty, and we said we're going to build $100 million beauty brand. And we got laughed at. Okay. Who are these former special forces guys that think they can do this?
Yeah.
And what we did is it took us a year to prove that we can get average order value, lifetime conversion, and basically get our customer acquisition cost and our lifetime value in line, that we had a great business with this first skincare brand that we invested in. The only problem was after 12 months, the business was tapped out of cash. Our credit lines were tapped out. Our personal credit cards, our mortgages we had nothing left. And I had 2 little girls at home I needed to figure out how to feed. Nic, so what do you do when you run out of money? You go back to playbook number 1, which is, how did I say my first business? I bought a business. Now remember, again, no money. I went and I bought a business in Hoboken, New Jersey. My partner and I did a $15 million business, throwing off $1.5 million of cash, but had a great tech stack. On top of that, they had great internet marketers, designers, developer, fulfillment, everything we needed. You put my little $331,000 brand on top of this platform. Within 3 years, we did $100 million. We did $1 billion on that first skincare brand. So I just understand the excuses. I don't have money to do acquisitions. It's not about resources. It's about resourcefulness. It's about you connecting with the right people that will actually help you identify the opportunities about how to fund it. I don't have the bandwidth to do acquisition, but you do. If you can understand that and here's the formula that I'll share with you that I like to share. Now, you don't have to do this aggressive, but if you decided to build a strategy that I'm just going to go out and meet with sellers and I want to buy one business a year that's half my size, and I'm going to do that for the next 5 years, period. Very consistent methodically. I'm not going to buy two and it's going to be half my size, not double. You will 12x your enterprise value. That is the amount of money that you can get when you sell your business within 5 years. And more than that is you will 4x the probability that you'll actually get a successful sale, because the larger they are, the larger profit, the more buyers there are out there with cash to complete a successful transaction. Again, and you're building a more stable business. So it is the power of just acquisitions. Now, again, I think that you can solve almost every business challenge. So what is M&A? Let's go back to your first question, Nic.
Yeah.
M&A is simply starts with mergers and acquisition, but acquisition can be, it can be, I want to get more awareness with e-com sellers. So I'm going to buy an e-com Facebook group.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to buy an email list. I want to buy a business because I want to buy another agency that offers service in these channels. And therefore I get be able to cross sell my services with them, and I'm buying profitability. And when that happens, the other thing that happens is when you're doing $500,000 in profit of your business and you're an SEO agency, for example, you might be able to sell for 2.5 to 3 times your profit as a business, your EBITDA.
Yeah.
You grow to $1 million. Now you're worth 4x. You grow to 2 million. Now you're worth 5 times your enterprise value. So you're getting your multiple expansions. And that's the way it actually compounds, how you increase the size, the value of your business and how much people will pay for it. So again, that's the power of acquisitions. Now imagine the same thing is that you run a business and you have an SEO agency and you're doing $1 million in profit. You know another company you work with all the time, you refer all your business to them and they refer their business. And let's say they're a meta agency. And you guys get together and say, why don't we offer these full services to our clients and let's merge together? Yeah. Or it could be a Google YouTube agency, doesn't matter. And you put two businesses together, they're doing $1 million of EBITDA piece. Now you're worth more money to the market and you're more likely to find a buyer if you integrate successfully. Again, it's the power of larger numbers. You're worth more and there's more buyers for you that have deeper pockets, higher probability of a successful transaction. So that is the merger piece. You can merge and get incremental values. You can buy people out and therefore you can get the extra value from acquiring their business. And that's what mergers and actual acquisition is. And ultimately, most of us have a plan for some type of exit scenario.
Yeah.
Now, Nic, when you think of exit scenarios and exit opportunities, what do you think about?
Oh, getting as much money as possible. Finding a way to either walk away with money or walk away with a sense of security for the next steps for me is at least what I would think.
Correct. So one is, or not walking away, basically taking cash off the table, rolling it forward, getting a seller note for the rest of it, whatever that is, and staying in the business that you love with the team that you built is a possibility. Okay.
Absolutely.
And again, there's a lot of different options out there. There also is you create a business, you're at a certain size, you can bring in an outside partner like a private equity group to help you continue doing acquisitions. And so you are the platform. You are in control, and you're buying additional resources. You've already taken you get to take cash off the table and have resources to do additional acquisition. And really, every time you do this, you're buying businesses at, let's say, 3 times the profit. But the minute you're in your platform, now they're worth 7 to 8 times. So on day one, if you're doing $5 million in business in EBITDA in profit, you buy a business that does $1 million, you buy them for, let's say 4x, but now you're worth 8x. Suddenly on day one, that $1 million of their profit is not worth, you paid them for $1 million, but it's worth $8 million to you. So in day one, you profited for $1 million. Incredible. Just like that. Again, that's it. That's just the magic money, the magic money math that I look at. So, and again, that's why I love about mergers and acquisitions. That's and cool. Also, so whatever your exit is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, tell me this, Tom. What are you doing to help people with that, right? So you're an absolute expert. You've gone through it. You understand what you should and shouldn't do. You now tell me what you're doing today and tell me about your conference that you've got and what your goals are there.
I love entrepreneurs, period. I think entrepreneurs are solving the problems of the world and we're the future, period. And so my goal is to help entrepreneurs in any way I can. There are a lot of people that think they can do acquisitions. They have no background and they may be able to, but it's the danger of running with scissors. It may be fine, but you may actually fall. And and in this case, you're going to injure your business and you'll be injuring the business that you're acquiring, which is someone else's legacy. Yeah. While I'm a marketing and sales guy and business development person, my degrees are industrial engineering, which means I like to take complex and make it simple and process oriented, period. So I like to do what I call programmatic M&A, which means just through basically systems acquisition, through just following a system or a process. So what we do twice a year and it might be going to once a year starting next year, we run DealCon CEO M&A Summit. It is for entrepreneurs, 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs. And what we get to do is we get to teach them our playbook. Here's the way we do acquisitions. Here's what we learned through personally 20 acquisitions, but altogether, if you look at everyone who teaches in that room, we're talking hundreds of acquisitions and exits.
Seriously.
So we get to share what we learned through all this and our specific playbook of, here are the 6 steps you do in an acquisition. First of all, you want to generate enough leads and talking to sellers almost on a daily, whether it's once a week or on a daily basis, people who are interested in selling their business in what you're looking at actually buying. And with that, if you do that, you'll find those once in a lifetime deals all the time. Okay. The next, and so again, it starts with there's different 6 phases to doing this. So we get over the 2.5 days, we get to teach the process for doing acquisition. And then after that, we cherry pick and we select, some of the members that come to some of the attendees at the event where we choose to work with them for a year and just help them acquire at least 1 business a year. We have some that are acquiring 6 business a year. We have some that have never acquired. We have others that have acquired a number of them. Doing this with a group reduces your risk. Period. And that's where I get my energy and joy in working with people to do that. In the meantime, I'm spending most of my time acquiring my own businesses.
That is so cool, man. Talk about, I think number one, all of us have a dream, right? And I believe entrepreneurs are searching and actively working towards that dream that they had growing up. They're trying to find a way to solve the world's problems, create opportunities for a variety of businesses. And I mean, marketing companies as well are solving problems to help businesses succeed online. It's huge. It is integral in today's society. But
things are changing fast. But
oh my gosh. You're right. It is, but there's always going to be exactly something that changes it or throws a wrench or whatever. And if you don't have that group like you've created, it's going to be even more difficult to figure out what you should and shouldn't do.
You have to figure out a way to get out of your head. Quick story here. I'm not going to go into the long story, but the short version of it is we had a business making a brand business with our beauty brands making $600,000 a month. Manufacturer went bankrupt. We started losing $600,000 a month because we couldn't get our products to ship. And the FDA said, hey, we can get you licensed to actually manufacture that in 18 months. So within 90 days, that's how we went to a loss. And now with few options in sight and a bank foreclosing, we were stuck. And so in our business, we couldn't figure out how to get those quantum leaps. I ended up going to a community. Basically, it was a mastermind I'm part of. It was the first meeting I went to. Very raw in this group. I shared with my problems, my issues. And then I started getting ideas. Some of the ideas were horrible. Some of the ideas were brilliant. Some of the ideas were bad enough they created a new idea. And altogether, I had a playbook leaving there. Then I was also in War Room at the time. I called Perry, Roland, Ryan, said, I'm having this issue. What do you think? And they gave me their ideas. With that, came back to my team. We all got together. We rank-stanked the ideas. We got to then negotiate with the bank to give us more time. And we just started executing. And then we the next year in the business was my favorite year in business, period. Turning the business around to even being more profitable than when we started. Because we got to test. But it is the power of proximity, power of getting out of your business that you're in day to day and getting into a room where people have done different things at different levels, because you always want to be surrounded by people who, yes, that you can help, but also people that have been there and can basically our job as CEO leaders, entrepreneurs, is to compress time, reduce risk, and find the on-ramp to the freeway. There's no point in us basically building every road from scratch. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. That's basically the power of what you can do, and why I love to do these events is I get to put really, really smart people in the room. I get to bring speakers in. This time we have, it's fun. We have Jay Abraham that we have a fireside chat during one of our dinners. We have Brett Hurt, who's coming in at one of our keynote speakers, who sold Bizarre Voice. For a lot of people in ecom will know that. He just had another major exit, his third big one with Data.World to ServiceNow. And again, so love to bring also outside speakers in that just give some thoughts, inspiration, tactics that we all can apply today.
I love it. I think what I love the most about it is that power of proximity that you're speaking to. Right. I've had the opportunity of going to a lot of conferences. I recently was at a conference just 2 weeks ago in Chicago. And unfortunately, it was people who were looking at the problem in a different way, more of, okay, these are the problems. This is what we got to be aware of, and not really thinking about the solutions. And I've always appreciated that on your side of, these are the solutions. This is what we're doing. What are you doing? And the conversations are so much more poignant and beautiful when you've got people who are solution oriented. I love it.
Well, again, Nic, like you, I'm an entrepreneur. So the way I always have to have metrics on how I view my success. If I'm doing something, there better be an ROI. And the ROI for me from these events is, did the people come say this was the most impactful event they ever had in their life? And did it change their paradigm? Did they have the ahas that changed the way they built their business this year and the next year? And again, that to me, that is my ROI. Otherwise, my highest and best use of my time is running businesses and acquiring businesses. It is not by running events. Therefore, if I'm dedicating my time, I'm going to over-index into making sure that people have the ROI, which means understanding the strategy, but having the tactics, and then also knowing the who and not necessarily all the how. Because sometimes you can compress time and shortcut it by introducing the right resource, such as Boostability, which I love having as one of our sponsors at the event.
No, we've loved sponsoring your event, and we've had the opportunity of not just meeting agencies at those events, but also, superconductors, people who are connected to so many other agencies as well. It's been a great event. One thing that I do love about the event is I get to learn about people like you. You're very successful, which I appreciate and I love seeing, but you also show where you came from. And a lot of people don't have that. Okay, this is where I came from. This is, the American dream of growing. And I really would love to share that with this audience is, who is Tom? Where did you come from? Where did you grow up? And then tell me just a brief, story of what you are, because I really think it's beautiful.
Thank you, Nic. Well, I'll start with this. I'm a kid from Cleveland, Ohio, who my early life, it was kind of reversed. My early life, financially, my family did very well. And then circumstances happens, as I say, sometimes not only hit a brick wall, sometimes a brick wall falls in your head. It happened in my dad's business. He lost everything by the time I got to high school and never recovered from it. So therefore I didn't have access to resources at that period of time. And just, context, I was at Florida State University at the age of 20. I viewed that life was a blast with pledging and everything's great in university. And again, when we say no resources, it was student loans paying for my education, because it wasn't, my parents didn't have anything for me, but putting myself through school. But again, the question was, what is my ROI? What is my impact? And for me as a young person, I thought I could have a better impact in the world. I'm Jewish, and therefore I felt the biggest impact I could have was by moving to Israel, serving the army. I ended up serving in special forces there in a unit that was focused on saving lives. Again, it was rescue from people from wherever they were, throughout the world. So that's what I did. Longer story behind that, as far as the probability of getting in, is kind of the probability of having a business that will last for over 5 or 10 years and be to over 10 million in revenue. Again, it's very, very small. But I learned from there some of the core lessons, what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Because ultimately, the two greatest things traits that most entrepreneurs have is, one is grit and the resilience. If someone says you cannot get through this wall, we will figure out a way to go around that, over it, and if we have to, through it. It's what we do. I can't tell you how many times my businesses had massive external factors hit the business where my board of advisors said, "You are dumb." My management team said, "We might as well just close down." But we don't give up. And therefore, and taking those adversities and turning it around, I view it as the great gifts of adversity, when you could turn those situations around and succeed. So again, it is that resilience. And the other thing that we learned is, as a medic in the field, you never have the correct resources you need in order to treat in a mass casualty event. Therefore, we're trained that you have to be innovative. A good medic is one who improvises. Said a different way is, we never have the resources. We have to be resourceful in business. Again, period. You will never have all the resources. And I've seen so many businesses with almost unlimited resources. They raise $100 million, and yet 3 years later, they're bankrupt. It is about resourcefulness and how you leverage the resources that you have, period. And I think just by being smart and scrappy is what entrepreneurs does. So some of the early lessons I learned in the military and special forces have given me an unfair advantage to that. And then the other thing is that, is my family. My family is my reason, is my why. Being an entrepreneur I'm just fortunate to be to be able to play the greatest game there is. And I'm serious about it. And I believe in being all in and all heart with whatever you do. But when it comes down to it, my family is the most important thing, my wife and my daughters, because if I take care of them, if they're happy and they feel confident and they feel loved and they're living their best life, then I can do whatever I want after that, as far as building businesses, spending my time, impacting people. But really, they're my why, and that's my number one.
Yeah, and I've met your family, beautiful, beautiful family, and you can tell that the apple of your eye, just as excited as you are speaking about business. I've seen you watch your daughter speak, and that right there is beauty, and you can totally see the proud father, sitting back and listening to his daughter. And it is great to see the dynamic with you guys at these conferences. You guys are great to be around, and I really appreciate it. Now, you reached out to Boostability, and you said, I see you guys specifically here, and I love the way that you pitched it. Now, I sell Boostability all day long. I've been to a lot of places in this world because of Boostability, but I'd love to see where you see Boostability fit, not just with mergers and acquisitions, but just as a whole.
Well, first of all, even with mergers and acquisitions, and let me put it this way, is the world is changing fast, and business is not getting easier. And so we always have to look for leverage. Part of what, my magic formula is 5-5-5-30. If you increase your conversion rate by 5%, if you increase your average order by 5% and your retention or your lifetime value by 5%, you're going to increase your profit by 30% of your business. Okay. It's just slight things. So let's just talk about, two things that I can do is, first of all, if I offer an additional service to my existing customers and I'm getting margin on it, I'm increasing the average order or the monthly billable rate to that client. Yep. 2 is the more services they're reliant on me and the better I'm in integrating together, the longer they're going to stick with me. So by actually be able to add on SEO services like Boostability, it's a very, very powerful solution in order to do as far as, and therefore, let me just talk about not only the profitability of my existing business. If I'm looking to buy a business and say, okay, I'm buying this and I'm going to monitor for 90 days without doing any material big changes, but my goal is to increase the profitability. If I can then use your platform and offer additional services through a white label structure and increase the profit I'm generating from every one of their customers, it's helping me pay for that acquisition. So again, that's where I see boostability and the power of it.
I love it. And I couldn't have said it better, man. It was that you said certain things were beautiful that I might cry. That was so good. And I appreciate it. Now, you have to travel a lot. And that's something that I'm learning. I feel like I'm traveling. I think I've got almost 70 plus nights this year outside of home. How do you maintain balance with your family? How do you maintain sanity with yourself?
Well, now it's easier because I like to travel as much as I can with my wife because we have the luxury of doing that now. So it makes it easier. But most of my life, it wasn't. It was, and there are times where actually I had to commute 5 to 6 days a week. If I had another business I was supporting or that I owned and I had to be there for 3 or 6 months, therefore I was only home for a day to 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And the key thing here is understanding that you're not the center of the universe. Your family is.
Yeah.
When I'm home, I'm present. Period. Yeah. When I'm on the road, it's like, how can I make sure that I'm all in and focused so I can make the most and out of the situation. But when I get home, I can be present and them to know that they're the most important people in the world. What can I do every day to make my family happy that they know? Granted, I'm so focused. I'm so myopically focused on whatever I'm doing remotely, such as I bought a business, I'm scaling it. That's why I'm so myopically focused. But you have to take a moment and say, okay, what have I done today that my family knows? The priority there, and what little act can I do just to show them? It could be just, let me make sure I text not only my wife or talk to my wife, I actually text my daughters, let them know. Yeah. If I can't get them on the phone, then that's great also. Just so they know. So again, it's the balance. On the other hand is physically, Nick, it's critical that we're all taking care of our bodies. If we were to buy a $1 million racehorse, what would we do to keep it so it can keep on sustaining itself? Well, Nick, over your lifetime, you're going to make a lot more than $1 million in revenue. Yeah. So you have to treat your body and your mind in the same way. So again, what are we doing at home? And then what are we doing on the road to making sure we're sustaining our exercise or eating habits so it would be sharp? And the thing that I'm asked, if not more concerned of with my body, which is why exercise is important, is my brain, is how do I keep my brain healthy? It's always been my biggest concern. How do I keep it sharp? So what habits am I having on the road? What habits am I having at home that basically keeps my mind and my body sharp?
That's beautiful, man. That's so true. That's something I definitely need to work on, but I do appreciate it.
By the way, Nick, the thing I have to work on is sleep. I try my best. And Garmin has helped me as I basically look at my sleep score and I have something to measure it on. Yeah. But there's so much I want to do at night. There's so much I want to do in the daytime. So here in the States, I get to wake up at 4:45 or 5, and I get to go swimming and just amazing things. But then there's Nick, do you ever watch Seinfeld?
Absolutely.
Okay, so did you ever see the Night Guy, Day Guy episode?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So again, and for anyone who hasn't heard it before, there's two guys inside my head. There is Day Guy and Night Guy. Day Guy is responsible, goes to work, does the right thing, eats properly, and Night Guy is out there and all he wants to do is stay up and party and have the best time. And Night Guy has one goal. Night Guy's goal is to screw Day Guy. And so we talk about, and so Pam says to me, is this Night Guy taking over? When I say it's time to go out, let's go out. Because I just want to live life. I said, when I die, I'll sleep. So I just want it. But on the other hand, you need the sleep to get your body and mind to reset, because that's just pure physiology that we need to figure out how to balance.
Stay tuned for our next episode as we continue our conversation with Tom and learn more about his next big vision and the entrepreneurs he's helping along the way.